Hey everyone, welcome to day 67. I've been doing this Evolving Out Loud journey for 67 days, and it was interesting. I was thinking I should go back and watch to see sort of the progression of where I've been and what I've been through. I find it interesting where I'm at today and how different it is from where I was yesterday, and how we change all the time. Like, we always change and we always evolve. So yeah, I had a really interesting situation happen today that lit my fire. And I am such a calm person, and I am very grounded and level-headed, and I stay that way most all of the time. Hi, Timothy. And I do really well at expressing my emotions, expressing my feelings, and keeping them, in, I want to say in reason, but emotions sometimes aren't reasonable. But I had a circumstance happen today where that involved my grandson and my son. And I came out strong. A situation that is threatening my personal relationship with my grandson and threatening my son's relationship with his son. And I was in this circumstance, and I was in this confrontation that actually it started out to just be an open conversation that I could tell very quickly was going to become a confrontation because there was no reasoning whatsoever. And I noticed, and I just observed in my body just the fire coming up. And I was fully aware of it and completely in observance as I was literally feeling like my blood was going to boil. And, have you been in these circumstances where you realize there is nowhere to go? You're at the standstill, and the standstill that you're at is absolutely irrational and unjust, and you're looking at the person thinking, where are you coming from? It's so obvious, of course, to you. And when you're emotionally charged, we always think we're right. But this is a situation that I've been dealing with for a couple of years, and it's going to end up having to involve, a lot of court, and it's just a really ugly circumstance. But the thing that's interesting, hi April, the thing that's interesting was as I was observing myself, literally I felt mama bear coming out. And I kept thinking about, hi Chris, I kept thinking about who I was in the past and who I am right now. In the past, when I was a teenager, I could definitely shoot off at the mouth. I could be really cruel and I could be harsh, and I found that it didn't serve me very well. I felt better mouthing off and saying whatever the thoughts were, but it didn't serve me well. And so obviously, as I've grown and learned and have much more control over my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, I recognized the feelings in my body. I recognized that I literally felt fangs growing and horns growing, and I felt like I had this scales growing on the back of fins, fins or scales growing out of the back of my spine, and I just was sweating. So I'm standing there talking to this person, and they're looking at me, just saying the most horrific things that are so unreasonable. And I was able to totally keep my cool, to keep my calm. And I just kept thinking to myself, send her love, send her love, send her love, send her love. When I wanted to scream at her, are you crazy? Do you not see what you're doing? Do you not see how this is going to affect the child? Oh my God. But my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do because there's no such thing as grandmother's rights in the state of Washington. And that was thrown very much at me. So I was like, okay, so now what do I do next? So the point of this video, not to get into all the details of the situation that I'm dealing with, but is that when you have that moment of feeling that fierce energy, feel it, observe it, and don't react in a way that's going to make the situation worse. And so I knew the conversation wasn't going to go anywhere. I knew that if my voice escalated, if I escalated, that it was not going to be beneficial because I was obviously talking to a brick wall. And so I ended the conversation and I left and I got back in the car and then I like went off and I had, you know, my son who was there to be able to hold space for me as I just like was then able to verbally release all of this angst and tension in my body. And so now I'm realizing like, okay, what am I going to do with this anger that I have about this injustice? And the thing that I'm angry at is I'm angry at the injustice. I'm not necessarily angry at the person. The person is behaving terribly, but I understand that it is their ignorance. And they believe that they are in the right. And there's nothing to argue with that. Hi, Audrey. But the situation is just so unjust. And so now I'm in this place where I realize like, okay, it's time for me to make that next move and know that I can use this fire that's in my belly, use this like mama bear fierceness to like do something to make a change. And so that's like where I'm at now. And so I'm kind of in the place where I'm not ready to make any calculated decisions or thoughts because I'm still too mad. There's still too much passion and fire in me, and I need to release that. It's probably going to come out in a workout because that's very helpful for me, because when you have that fire come up, that adrenaline is released in your body, and you have to do something to release the adrenaline. And obviously you don't want to hurt somebody, you don't want to do anything irrational, but you do have to release the energy out of your body. And so if I could have, I would have just went for a sprint right then and there, but I was near a freeway and there was nowhere to run. And so getting in a really hard workout is going to, I think, save me from all of this adrenaline pumping through my body. So that would be my recommendation. When you are in circumstances like that, don't make any decisions when you're in that high emotional state, but use that energy in a positive way. So mine is going to be a workout, and then I will be able to have a calm mind to be able to think clearly about what the next plan of action is going to be so that I can start working towards justice. Anyway, so there's my 2 cents of what do you do when you've got that fire, and knowing that it's good. It is really good, because that's where action comes from. We need to get angry sometimes to take action, so long as you channel the anger properly. So I hope all of you have a wonderful evening, and keep connected to your heart, even if it means getting pissed. And anger is not a bad thing. It's what you do with your anger that can be bad. Thank you all. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Ciao.